everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm T Zion, and today I want to discuss to you about shifts, that is working hours here in Qatar. Majority of people, you find they are complaining back home. People are ignoring them, people are not replying to them, people are not calling them. That is not an issue. It is how we work here in Qatar. Here in Qatar, I'm talking of Qatar because I'm living in Qatar and I work in Qatar. I don't know about other countries, how they are working, but I'm talking of Qatar. Here in Qatar, we have something called shift schedules, whereby you find some people who are working 8-hour shift and people who are working 12-hour shift. And you find people are working rotational shift. It's the same hours, but it's a rotational shift. Those are three different things. I will give you an example. You find in a company, like my company, where I am working an 8-hour shift. From my accommodation to my work is 45 minutes. From my work to accommodation back, it's 45 minutes. You add up to the 8 hours I'm working. Let's say those are just 10 hours. Let's say, for example, these are 10 hours. I am working to and from the 10 hours. But you find we have rotational shift. It's 8 hours, but rotational. You work morning, you work afternoon, and you work night. When you're working night, this means you work morning, that is 6 to 2. When you're working afternoon, that is 2 to 10. And if you're working night, that is 10 to 6. So this is how it goes, this shift. When they make work schedules for people who are working 8 hours, that means the company has 3 shifts. All companies that are working 8 hours, they have 3 shifts on manpower. They have enough manpower of their staff. So if you're working, depending on the timing they put for you on the shift, other companies, all those who are working 8 hours, they have timings depending on their companies. So if you're working these 8 hours and you are a morning shift, know that next shift, if you are doing a rotational shift, that is, I'm talking of people who are doing rotational shift, not fixed shift, rotational shift. Next week or after 2 days, you are going afternoon or night, according to your company decisions or your project where you're working for. So this is how you do it. If you're working a rotational shift, you have no time for people, especially if you're working a rotational and your week is afternoon. Mostly if your week is afternoon. This is from 2 to 10. Now, I will start with morning. If you're working 6 to 2, you have enough time from 3 to communicate with the family and friends and do your cooking, your ironing, your laundry, prepare your uniform. By 8, you go to bed. That is the best shift, and majority of people love that shift. Not unless those people who are hard to wake up in the morning, they don't like that. But that is the shift that majority of people love, morning shift, so they can work. Afternoon shift. This is a shift that majority of people love only because of sleeping time and waking up time. So they don't like morning, because morning you have, if you're sleeping at 8 or 9, then you have to wake up by 4 to prepare yourself. Because one thing, we are living in accommodation. 2, we are sharing washrooms and a kitchen. So you have to wake up very early. If you are a person who loves to eat in the morning, you have to wake up very early. You cook, you take shower, you prepare yourself, because you know in another room, you are sharing room, someone else is waking up that time. You have to prepare yourself. You finish for another person also to enter the bathroom, also other people also to use the kitchen. And if your afternoon shift, this shift is the best shift when sleeping pattern, because when you're moving from 2 to 10, that means by 1, you have to be already prepared. But you have to wake up by 9 or 10. Make sure you have prepared your food if you're going to carry to work. If you love to eat, you have to prepare your food you're going to carry to work, not unless your work site, they are giving you food. You have to prepare food. You have to make sure your shoes are polished. You have to prepare your uniform. You have to arrange whatever you need for that day, depending on where they are going to sign you to work, according to your work, if you are doing a rotation. Now, you are coming back at 10. Maximum is 11 where you'll reach in accommodation. That 11, you have roommates who are sleeping. You can't make noise because maybe they are waking up in the morning. You cannot make the noise for them. You just have to come. You walk like a cat slowly in the room. You remove your uniform. You have to take shower slowly, not make noise for them. You go back to cook if you want to eat something if you did not eat before. Then you prepare for in the morning. Maximum you'll sleep at 2, 1 or 2. You wake up at 9 in the morning or 10. Now we go to this shift. You cannot go anywhere. The time you are coming back, shops are closed. The time you are coming back, everywhere is dark. It's only you. And the time you're waking up, you have no time to go anywhere. Maybe you will call 1 or 2 family members or do 1 or 2 things for you. This shift is totally with the shift that we call rehabilitation shift, where you see no one, you talk to no one, you just you and you alone. Now we have a night shift, one of the toughest shifts to work on. It's very tough because you have to be vigilant in depending on the company where you're working, depending on the schedule where you're working, you have to be vigilant. You have to be awake. And this shift, if you do not sleep during daytime, like someone like me, this time I'm not asleep and I'm coming from night. If you do not sleep very well at night, going to work is very difficult shift. This is a shift where you're going to work by 10, you have to be reported to work. And by 6 in the morning, you are checking out. When you come back, either someone who is afternoon shift is sleeping, you cannot make noise. Where you can take your phone, you go where if the company created a living room, sitting room where you guys can talk there, or you go to cook, you prepare yourself 1, 2, 3 things, you come take shower, or you do exercise or do anything, you sleep, so that you'll be able to work in the evening. This shift is good because when you come, you can balance yourself. You go somewhere, you rush somewhere, you come back by 10 or by 11. You come back, you sleep. You wake up by 6 or 7. You cook something small. Your uniforms were ready, you prepared in the morning or night. And then you go to work. This is the best shift because you have the whole day. The problem of this shift is sleeping pattern. It is difficult for those people who have a problem with sleeping. Like me, it's difficult. But you have to endure it because you are here. We are here for money. So families, when you are nagging, just know what we are going through. It's not easy because it is not how we planned our life to be. Now we have people who are working 6 to 6. Or maybe it is 12 hours. According to your company, it is 12 hours. And maybe you are working 4 to 4 or 3 to 3. Depending on your company, how they arrange, but it's a 12 hour. So if you're working 6 to 6, you have only 1 day off to do anything. You're working 6 to 6, you have to come back to in accommodation. It's a sharing. Majority of people working here are sharing in accommodation. Only few can rent outside with the help of companies giving them house rent. Only few. But majority are living in accommodation. You come back, you have to prepare food. You have to wash the dishes that you went with it in the morning. You have to make sure your uniform for tomorrow is clean. You have to make sure you want to make a call, only 1 call or 2 calls. You cannot even have time for this shift to watch movie. Because by 8, you are supposed to be asleep. So you meet up to wake up either 4 or 5, depending on the schedule. And if you are night, also you are supposed to be going that 6. You're supposed to be waking up. By 4 or 5, you're supposed to be waking up because depending on the time that the buses leave, going to work. And you know, if the bus leaves you, depending on your company, you will lose your own transport to go to work. And here, Ubers are very expensive. Very expensive. Not like back home. Transport is very expensive here with Uber. Depend on the location where you work. So night shift is a good shift, but sleeping pattern is a problem. Then we have this other extended shift that is 4 hours. Depending on your location, they can give you an overtime of 4 hours if you love. So when you work 12 hours, you have another 4 hours. That is 16 hours because you love overtime. You want to make money because you want to impress your family back home. You have to achieve your goal. You have to add an addition of those 4 hours. Just imagine you have worked 12. You have add 2. That is 16 hours. You have sacrificed because you have a goal to meet up back at home. Because the salary you are receiving is not enough. So you have to do this overtime. Those are 16 hours. So when people complain that in Qatar people are not working 16 hours, people are working 16 hours. I have worked before 16 hours. I know this. So no one should say that in Qatar people don't work 16 hours. People work 16 hours. These overtimes, you have to work them. And overtime money is mostly what someone will use it to look for clothes, to look for some other errand, to use it. That's why you will just use this money for something little. So families back home, don't complain when we don't respond to you. We are here working time. It is work with time, not work with money. It is work with time. That is how I call it. It is working with time. And you have to be on duty at that time because you have to sign in and sign out. And we have other people. If the shift is a rotational, you can have a supervisor. Maybe you had a quarrel with the supervisor, or maybe the supervisor doesn't like you. The supervisor, if the shift is supposed to rotate, the supervisor knows maybe you don't like night shift. The supervisor might decide to punish you 2 straight night or 3 straight night. This is something that normally happens to some people. So it's not an easy job. You find somebody who was supposed to go 1 week night if it's a rotational week. But you'll find a supervisor, when they are making schedule, he will punish you. He or she will punish you the following month to go night, 2 nights or 3 nights. Will give you only 1 morning. Or you don't love morning, she will give you straight mornings. Or you don't like afternoon, we'll give you straight afternoon. And you cannot do anything. You cannot say anything. You cannot complain. Because you are here for the sake of your family, for the sake of money. And this is where mostly in Africa people don't understand. I'm talking of Africa. Majority of Africans' families, they don't understand when you don't reply to them. They think that when you ignore them, they think you are ignoring them. When we read your messages, but we don't respond to them because you're asking for something that maybe we don't have, or you want to talk, and that time is not there. So someone has only 1 off day where you can meet up. Those all your needs. And there's other people who are not that too busy. They have mobile full time. Like in my case, at work, we don't have mobile full time. No. We only have mobile when off duty. We don't use mobile. So whenever someone sends messages, if I'm afternoon shift, I have no time to reply those messages. I'll just come and read them and I put my phone down because I have to meet up my needs in the room. I finish for tomorrow to wake up and also get dressed. So families, don't blame anyone working in Qatar. When you reach in Qatar, you work here, it's when you will know how difficult the climate itself. Now we are going to winter. We just finished summer. We are starting winter. It's going to be more cold. And off day is only 1. Summer also is very hot outside. When you come inside, it's very cold. So we are trying to manage and to balance. Thank you for watching for my channel. If you like it and if you like to comment, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm T Zion. Bye bye, and wait for the next video. Bye bye.